Hey Planner Pals, and welcome back to Planning with Maggie, where we talk about ways to go from being busy to being productive. I'm Rachel, and today we're going to be talking about why now is the best time to start a bullet journal. Before we hop in, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a quick thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that I'll see you back here for more content just like this. Have you ever noticed that people wait for a certain time of year before they start doing things? Like, it's gotta be November before you start buying Christmas gifts, or you have to wait till the fall in order to start looking for a new job, or it's gotta be April before you start spring cleaning, right? Or how about it has to be January to start a new planner or set goals? But does the time of year that you start one of these things really make that big of a difference? I'd like to argue no. There's no time like the present to start something that you've been meaning to do. And if it's really going to make a difference and an impact, then you might as well start it sooner rather than later. Why would you want to prolong your suffering doing something that doesn't benefit you or isn't helpful when you could be changing that and making a difference in your life right now? Personally, I think if something's going to help you, don't put it off. Just start right now. I stumbled across the concept of a bullet journal in the month of April, and I spent the next 8 months researching, trying to find trackers and collections I wanted to use, finding the right supplies. What did I really want to do? I spent a ton of time thinking about those little nuances rather than diving in. I thought that I couldn't start one until January, and I already had an agenda, so I might as well just use that one, right? The issue with that was that the planner that I was using wasn't meeting my needs. I didn't have room for everything that I wanted to put in there or keep track of. So I had my planner and I had a whole bunch of other notebooks and things that housed different areas of my life that I needed to keep track of. The thing was, I wasn't able to keep track of any of it. Some of it was here, some of it was there, some of it was over here, and it was really hard to keep organized and productive because I spent a lot of time trying to find the information that I needed. Now I think back to why I did this to myself, and I also think about how many headaches I could have avoided if I had just started right then rather than putting it off for as long as I did. Really, there are about 4 main reasons that people don't start a bullet journal right away. The first things that many people think is that it's not the right time. Like I said, you have to start in January. You have to start at the beginning of the month. You have to start on a Monday or whatever it is. These things are really self-imposed. The thing about a bullet journal is that you create it as you go. So you can start anytime, any day of the week, any month of the year. It's the world's your oyster. You can start being more productive right away if you just go ahead and start your bullet journal. It'll take you less than 5 minutes and you can get more productive immediately. The second reason that people don't start is they feel they don't have the right supplies, right? So you've been on YouTube, you've been on Instagram, you've been on Pinterest, you've seen all these beautiful creative journals that use all these fancy supplies. And I know that when I was looking to start, I felt like I needed a bunch of that stuff too. And that's just not true. The only things that you really need is a good notebook, something that is the right size so you can take it around with you. I prefer something with a hard cover so that it's protected, but really any notebook that you're comfortable with will do. The only other necessary supply that you need is a pen. And you can use any pen that you like, anything that's comfortable and that is in the vicinity that you need it to be in. Those are the only 2 things that you need in order to start one. Now, as you want to get more creative with it, or if you want a color code or whatever, those are things that you can definitely add in. You don't need anything special to start. And personally, I think the less you start with, the better, because then you can find out what it is that you truly need and then match that need with a product rather than having a whole bunch of stuff that you're not sure what to do with. The third reason that people don't start right away is they're not sure everything that they want to include. Once again, you've been on all those inspiration accounts, so you know that the bullet journal is so customizable and there's so many things that you can add in. And you're just not sure which ones you want to do that with. I'll put a little card up top here to my quick Learn to Bullet Journal in 5 minutes video, which will give you the basics of what it is that you actually need to have. But the thing is, you can always add things to your bullet journal. So as long as you start off with those main beginning elements, then you can add things on as needed. You can throw a new tracker in at the beginning of the next month, or you can throw it in mid-month. You can add a page for tracking a project. You can really switch things up whenever you want to. There's so much that you can do, and there's no restrictions on when it is that you learn those things, when you add it in and when you don't. Honestly, just start, and then once you figure out what it is that you want to track, go ahead and do that. And if you already have some ideas, fantastic. But it is really customizable, and it is a build as you go kind of project. So you don't have to pigeonhole yourself into only being able to add things in at the beginning of the year, the beginning of your journal, or the beginning of the month. The big thing with this is that you don't want to have paralysis by analysis. The more you look into it and the more things there are, the more things you're going to want to include, and then it can get really overwhelming. So keep it simple and move on with the things that you really like. The last thing to remember is that you can always switch it up later. So if you wanted to add something in, you definitely can. If you wanted to change something that you did before, you can do that too. There really isn't any limitations as far as those things are concerned. The last reason that people don't start a bullet journal right away is because they think that it needs to be perfect. And once again, those beautiful Instagram accounts are kind of the bane of a lot of our existence, because there's no way that they can look as good as some of these people's do. And once again, it's great to have that level of creativity and that outlet for yourself. And if that's something that you really like to do, awesome, go ahead and do it. But if you're looking at this video, you probably want to get things started pretty quickly. So you don't have to worry about making it perfect. You want to make it functional. You want to make sure that you have somewhere that you're able to track what it is that you're doing, organizing what you do need to keep doing, and making sure that you're laying plans to hit your goals in the future. That's really what it comes down to. So making sure that you have those bases covered is what's really important. It also helps to keep in mind that those perfect journals that you see, those people make mistakes too. I make mistakes, you're going to make mistakes, we all make mistakes. It's totally fine. There's tons of ways to fix mistakes in your bullet journal as well, and I will make a video on that soon. If you are really worried about making a mistake in your bullet journal, then I will link in the description box a post that I wrote with 8 different ways to correct mistakes in your bullet journal as you make them. We all make those mistakes, so it's totally fine, and there's lots of ways to reverse them or cover them up. I know that it was really hard for me when I opened my journal for the first time. It was so clean and pristine, and I didn't want to ruin it. I didn't want to waste pages. But the thing is, you do just have to start, and mistakes are part of the learning process. And as you experiment, you're going to hone in on your style, things that work for you, and you're going to have to do that less and less as you move through that journey and find out what works. Just starting your bullet journal for the first time is going to teach you a lot about yourself, your productivity style, and what it is that you need to do. So starting sooner rather than later is always in your best interest, because it gives you more time to learn and experiment. All these restrictions that I've talked about are self-imposed. These are things that you're saying to yourself that aren't necessarily true, and they're holding you back. So get rid of those limiting beliefs and really set yourself free in exploring ways to make sure that you're doing things that are important to you and that matter, and that you're going to be able to make a difference on your day-to-day life. And that's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, go ahead and give us a quick thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you'll get notified the next time that we upload a video on productivity, time management, and bullet journaling. Thanks so much for spending the time here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.